For today's video, I wanted to create 2 more looks for you guys using the new Oden's Eye and Morgan Turner Love Language palette. I have done one look with this palette already on my channel, so if you want to see that look, I'll link that video down below for you. So if you want to learn how to do these 2 eye looks, go ahead and keep on watching. I am just so excited to sit down, play with some shadow, and do 2 looks for you guys today. I did want to let you know that I just got a lash lift and tint yesterday, so if my lashes look extra good, that is why. But let's dive into the Love Language palette. I think for the first look, I do want to do something pretty neutral because we do have a really nice neutral quad right here. So I'm going to take a fluffy crease brush in the shade Affirmation. I might have picked up a little bit too much of this, but I'm going to start by running this throughout my crease. Oh yeah, okay, that's a lot. Very pigmented. I do really like the neutral shades that Morgan picked for this palette because they do all lean pretty neutral and kind of more cool toned. And that is the type of neutral shadows that I've been really into. So I like that you can get, you know, like a basic everyday look out of this palette. Okay, so this brown shade is kind of going almost all over my lid and in my crease, and that's just because I picked up a little bit too much, but no big deal. I am just blending that back and forth in my crease. And I really do like Oden's Eyes formula. I think it's really easy to work with. It is very pigmented, but it also is very blendable at the same time. Okay, so I kind of have this brown all over my eyelid right now, but you can see I have a little bit of a harsh line right here. Like you can really see where my skin is and where that eyeshadow is. So I want to blend on this line right there. So I'm going to switch to a small crease brush in the shade Service. And I just have a little bit of that, and I'm going to blend right below my brow, kind of right along the edge of this brown shadow. So you can see how that just kind of smoothed it right out. Now I picked up a little bit more Affirmation on the tip of this brush, and I'm just gonna lightly pat this on the outer part of my eyelid, just to add a little bit more depth. And then I picked up more Affirmation on the tip of my small crease brush, and I'm gonna run that across my entire lower lash line. I am loving this shade of brown. Like you could totally stop here, pop on mascara, and call it good. But you guys know me, I'm gonna add more, of course. I kind of want to do like a soft halo eye, so I'm gonna take even more Affirmation on that same small crease brush, and I'm just gonna add a little bit of this to the very inner part of my lid. So realistically, this brown shade Affirmation is all over my eye right now, but I'm trying to keep the center of my lid blank so I can add like a really pretty shimmer right there. Now I'm gonna grab a pencil brush in the shade Quality Time. So I have this on the tip of my brush, and I'm just gonna kind of smudge this along my top lash line, kind of acting as a liner. But because I'm using a pencil brush like this and not like an actual liner brush that's really thin, this is gonna give you a much more like smudgy and softer look, and just kind of add a little bit of definition at the lash line. And then I'm also gonna add that to the base of my lower lashes as well. Okay, I think that's gonna be it from the matte shadows. And now let's add a shimmer shade. And I'm gonna use this shade 829. So I'm just gonna take that on my finger. That is what it looks like. And I'm gonna pop that on the center of my eyelid. These shimmers are so crazy. And this is with no glitter primer underneath this shimmer. Like, look at how intense that is on its own. This shade is so, so pretty. I'm gonna go back to my fluffy crease brush and just kind of blend around the edges of that shimmer. And I kind of like a messy shimmer look. I don't mind if I kind of have shimmer all over my eye. I think it's really pretty. So I'm just kind of softening out the edges to make sure there's nothing too harsh looking. The reason why I didn't use a glitter primer is because I wanted this shimmer to be a little bit softer, but honestly, it's pretty intense on its own too. too. Because that shimmer added a little bit more than I expected, I'm gonna go back to that affirmation shade and just kind of touch it up a little bit on the outer and inner part of my eyelid. Just because some of this depth got covered up with the shimmer, and that is totally fine, I can just re-add the previous shadows. Now for the inner corner, I'm gonna pick up Touch, pop that right in here, and I like to add a little bit under my brow. I went ahead and popped on my mascara, and I'm wearing my favorite one, which is the Tower 28 Make Waves, and I have the black shade Jet. I'm trying to decide if I want to pop on lashes or not, but I think with this look, because it is neutral, I'm not going to do a lash. Like, my lashes, again, they're so lifted with the lash lift, so I'm pretty happy with how this looks. So here's a final close-up of the first look. Now let's do something a bit more colorful on this eye. I'm gonna start with a crease brush in this pink shade Amore, and I wanna run this shade throughout my entire crease, and this is gonna be kind of like my transition shade. I personally am not a huge fan of pink shadows, so this look is gonna be a lot more purple than pink, but pink makes a perfect crease shade to go with more purple shadows, so that's why I'm doing this. And I'm going to build up this shade just a little bit more, but as always, it is blending out so nicely. While I'm here, I'm going to grab more of this shade on the tip of this brush and just run this across my entire lower lash line. And same brush, I'm going to pick up Service. So I'm really doing the same thing that I did with the first look, where I laid down my crease shade and then I use this Service shade just to kind of clean up the edges and soften everything out. Make sure nothing is too harsh. Alright, so I have this pink wrapped around my entire eye, and now I'm ready to layer some more shadows on. On a flat lid brush, I'm going to pick up the shade Treat, and I want to pack this on my entire eyelid. This shade actually reminds me a lot of 2015 from my palette with Sigma, this kind of like just vibrant purple. I'm just layering up the shadow on my lid, and I am getting some fallout with this shadow, so you could use a glitter primer underneath it or just do your eyes first and then your base. You have some options for sure. I'm gonna relax my face really quick so you can see what I'm seeing. So see how I have slightly hooded eyes, so this skin kind of folds over my lid. But when I'm doing a look like this where I have a darker lid, if I kind of stopped right here, my eye's gonna look really small and closed off. I'm gonna relax my face and I'm gonna place my brush right here on the skin that's above my eyelid and kind of make like a little mark with this purple. And when I kind of lift my brow up, you can see how much higher that shadow is. So I'm just gonna bring up this purple shade a little bit higher on this side and this side, so it kind of meets with this purple right here in the center. I'm gonna add more up here. So again, this is so you can see the purple when my eye is relaxed, even if my extra skin is maybe covering my eyelid. And then it's also gonna make my eye look a little bit less closed off. So for real with you, I am covered in purple fallout right now, so I'll definitely have to like wipe that up completely once I'm done with my eyelid, but I'm just gonna keep going. So now when my eyes relax, you can kind of see this purple like peeking through up here, but it is a super harsh line. Like you can really see where that purple stops and starts, so we gotta blend that out. So on my crease brush, I'm gonna pick up Crush. So I have that on the tip of my brush, and I'm gonna use this to soften out the edges of Treat. So I'm placing my brush right on top of that harsh line and just doing little back and forth motions. I'm not blending upwards, I'm kind of more blending like side to side. And I know I'm going to put another one of the shimmers on top of this purple, so this doesn't have to be absolutely perfect, but I do want it to be blended. Okay, that is looking much, much better. Now for the center of my lid, I'm thinking either Flirt or Daydream. I want to swatch these two out. Both of these shades are so cool. I think Flirt will be better for this because this looks kind of like more of a topper shade because it doesn't have a lot of a base to it. You can see how this shade does have a base to it. So I'm going to go with Flirt, and I'm going to pop that on the center of my eyelid. Oh yeah, that looks really cool on top of the purple. I love how this is like transforming the purple super happy with how that looks. I think I am gonna do the lower lash line and then clean up all of the fallout afterwards. So just bear with me in my purple cheeks for now. For this lower lash line, I wanna do something pretty smoky. So I'm gonna take a black pencil. This one's by Makeup Forever. I'm gonna run it in my waterline and just kind of the base of my lower lashes. And then on a pencil brush, I'm gonna pick up Date Night, and I'm really going to deepen up and kind of smoke out my lower lash line with this shadow. So I start by placing my brush on top of that liner and then just moving my brush back and forth to kind of smudge out that liner. And then I'll very softly bring that purple downwards to smoke it out. This Date Night shade might be one of my favorite shades in this palette. Like, I am just loving this really deep, like plummy purple shade. I didn't pick up any extra product, but I'm just gonna take whatever's left on this pencil brush, kind of right in my inner lash line, right in here. And then also just kind of the outer part of my top lash line, just to kind of act as a liner, but not really. I'm loving the smokiness of that. Now I just want to soften it out just a tad. So I just picked up a little bit more crush on the tip of my crease brush, and I'm going to use that to kind of soften out the edges of the darker purple. And then I'm gonna go ahead and just touch up that black in my waterline. Okay, now let's clean up all this fallout. Fun fact, I actually use baby wipes, not makeup wipes, because I prefer the packaging of them. So I'm just gonna wipe away all of this, but I'm not gonna get too close to that shadow because I don't wanna, you know, disrupt all that blending I just did. And I mean, I'm clearly not going anywhere today with my 2 different eyeballs on, so I'm not gonna be perfect with this, but just kind of showing you what I do. And then just taking my foundation on my brush and just kind of touching that up. And then I'll switch to a smaller brush once I get really close to this edge of the shadow and kind of do more of a patting motion. And then just adding my powder, and I should be good to go. I picked up a little bit of that lightest Service shade I've been using to soften out the edges, and I'm just gonna do that around the edges of my eyeshadow where it touches my foundation. I also picked up a little bit more of that lavender shade Crush, and I'm just gonna retouch that up down here. And there we go. All the edges are nice and smooth. My purple fallout is completely gone. Just like with the other look, I'm gonna place Touch in my inner corner, a little bit under my brow. Because this is a colorful look, I am gonna pop on lashes, so I will be right back. All right, for this look, I just added a little half lash right out there on the outer corner. I'm wearing the Bright Lashes half lash in Flutter. I love how this look turned out. I think that Flirt shade, that shimmer on my lid just really transformed the look overall. So here's a final close-up of the second look. And then side by side, we have 2 very different looks using one palette. I love when I can just sit down and create eyeshadow looks for you guys, give you guys some inspiration of how to use your palettes. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.